Hi there, Sandra here from the Schwowin's Nest. Welcome to my channel. My first project is a little farmhouse lantern. I'm using these tumbling tower blocks and I'm going to glue two sets of three. Just using hot glue, you could use wood glue or any other type of glue. Just make sure you squeeze them together really well and take off any excess hot glue that might peek out. Using regular size craft sticks, I'm going to chop off the rounded ends using my miter shears, and then I'm going to make a whole bunch of them the same size. I'm going to hot glue the popsicle sticks, two on each side, and I'm going to make sure that they're nice and straight and they're pushed right up against the corner. Then I'll do the same for the other side. Laying the lantern flat down, I'm going to place some hot glue on the bottom two popsicle sticks and then fit in the top part of the lantern, which is the other three tumbling tower blocks. And then I'll glue them on the other side too. Taking a look at the lantern just this way, I decided to add some extra pieces of popsicle stick to create a corner on each end. I thought that would just kind of finish it off and make it look a little bit more like a real lantern. I wanted to add something to the top of the lantern, so I'm taking this little piece of wood and using my utility knife to just score it on either side. Then I'm going to take my needle nose pliers and just very gently wiggle it back and forth until I get it snapped off. I'm going to sand it a little bit and then hot glue it right on top of the lantern. Using the little wooden cubes that you can get at Crafter's Square from the Dollar Tree, I'm going to create some little feet. Using hot glue, I'm just going to put them down onto the bottom of the lantern, but I'm also going to have them sticking out about 1/8 of an inch away from the base of the lantern, just to give them a little bit more character. I also glued one of the little cubes to the top of the lantern. Using some DIY chalk paint. If you're interested in that recipe, I've got it down in my description box. It's just using some regular household paint and some talc, mixing that together so you get a really nice thick consistency and so the paint can cover really, really well. I do end up giving this a couple of coats because I want it to be nice and bright. Using a makeup sponge and some black acrylic paint, I'm using the narrow end of the makeup sponge and just dabbing it on the paint and then dabbing it off. And then I'm just going to be pushing it into all of the edges of the lantern. So I'm starting at the top, but I'm going to do every edge that is showing. And if it's not 100% covered with black, that's okay. That's going to add to the charm of it and make it look more rustic. I wanted this lantern to have a candle in it. So I found this little cap from a room spray, and I'm going to use some hot glue and a little piece of white butcher twine to create a wick. I'm going to hot glue my little faux candle right in the middle of the lantern, and then I'm going to add some greens and some pine cones and make it look a little frosty for winter. The greens I'm using are some of the ones I had left over from Christmas crafts. And let me tell you, I've got a huge bin full of that. And I'm just going to go ahead and glue them in a little bit of a pattern, whatever makes me happy, and add some pine cones and some faux snow. The snow I'm going to be using is Epsom salts, so I'm taking some Mod Podge and I'm just dipping a bamboo skewer into the Mod Podge and dripping it all over the greens where I want the Epsom salt to stick. This is really easy and simple to do. I did it on my just previous video the same way to the little faux window that I created, and it's really fun to be able to just pour the Epsom salt right on top of it and watch it stick. So this is a really easy way to add a little bit of frosty winter glow to your greenery. I also decided to add some of the Epsom salts to the top. So you can see here I'm adding quite a bit of Mod Podge and it is dripping down on that top little block. But that's okay because when I pour the Epsom salt on, it's all going to stick and it looks really cute in the end. Project number 2 is using this car wash towel that you can get at the Dollar Tree. They're really nice and fuzzy, and I'm going to be creating a little fuzzy snowman. So the first thing I'm going to do is just cut out a rectangle that will be his body. And what I do with that is just roll it and glue it into place so I have a tube. I just use some hot glue to put it all together. Just make sure you don't burn your fingers when you're using fabric and hot glue together. The next step is to turn the tube inside out so I can tie off one of the ends and close it up. Then I turn it right side out again so that little knot is hidden right inside the body of the snowman. Using a little cup, I'm just going to be filling it up with some filler that I've had around the house. And these were just used from other projects many, many years ago when pink and purple were my colors, which they no longer are. Although I like to wear those colors, I don't want any of that in my home decor. So I'm making this a little bit of a beanbag snowman. I want to have those fillers in at the bottom so it will give him a nice sturdy base to stand on. Once I've got him filled how I like it, I'm just going to go ahead and tie off the top. I'm going to repeat this whole process using a smaller rectangle, which will become the snowman's head. It's time now to attach the two pieces together. I've cut off the top of the string that was extra on the body. I'm just placing a really large amount of hot glue, as you can see there. And then I'm just going to press the head down and hold it there for a bit until it dries. Now that it's all dry, he needs a little hat. I've got this little sock that was left over from making some gnomes over the Christmas holidays, and I'm going to make him a little toque. I cut somewhat of a rectangle from the top of the sock and I'm doing the same thing, tying a knot around the narrow end of the sock, and then I'll flip it inside out. I'm just checking to see that it's going to fit his little head, and then I'm going to turn up the brim of it and hot glue that into place so it looks like his little winter hat has a little rolled cuff on it. I'm just going to use some hot glue to glue the cuff into place. Again, using some hot glue, I'm going to put a whole bunch on the very top of the head and then glue the hat down into place. And I think he's starting to look super cute. I cut a narrow strip of the sock to make him a scarf that I glued all around his neck. And then I have a couple of little pieces hanging down. Towards the end, I decided he needed some longer strands hanging down, so I trimmed these original ones off a little bit and added some longer ones. I'm using these little upholstery tacks for his eyes and for his nose. And then I have these larger ones that I'm going to use as his buttons. I'm going to take my snips and just trim off the long piece because I don't need that, and then just hot glue them right onto his belly. I'm going to use one of the little upholstery tacks for his nose, but I'm going to glue it on backwards. So the head of the nail is going to be on his little face, and then the pointy part will stick out and it's going to look a little bit like a carrot. I decided to paint his little nose orange, so I'm using this honey brown color and a really small brush, and it turns out really cute. The last thing I did was take my Sharpie pen and just draw on a little perky smile. The last project is using this little wood tag sign, and it's really cute the way it is, but I don't like the red and I don't want any of the holly berries on it because we're not in Christmas anymore. We are just in winter. So I'm going to take my DIY chalk paint and give it a few coats just to make sure that all of that red is covered up. While that's drying, I'm going to take this tumbling tower block. Now, this is from a larger set. These are actually the original size of the Jenga game, and I'm going to give just 3 sides of it and the ends a couple of coats of the white paint as well. I grabbed this pack of wood cutouts from Dollarama right after Christmas, and it's got a couple of styles of snowflakes and 2 little styles of red trucks that I used in a previous video. I'm removing the string because I don't need that, and I'm going to give one of them a coat of white paint and the other is going to get a coat of black paint. I'm distressing the edges with a dark charcoal chalk paint, and I'm using a soft brush so I can get sort of a feathery look onto the white. I'm just going around the edges and bringing it on top of the tag a little bit, and then I'm also going to add a little bit around the edges of it. Using a soft brush gives the distressing more of a blended look. I'm marking 1-inch lines on the tag. This is a 3-inch tag, so I'll get 2 lines out of it. And I'm just going to take my ruler and my fine Sharpie pen and go right across, drawing that line. It doesn't have to be perfect, and I definitely don't want the line to be very heavy. That's why I'm using the fine point Sharpie. You can see it's just a very fine line. It's going to make it look like shiplap. I'm going to freehand the word snow, and I'm just using the popsicle stick as a guide so I don't go crooked. And I'm starting with the O and the W, and then I'll go backwards and do the N and then the S. I'm really used to doing freehand lettering, so I'm just using my fine point Sharpie marker because any errors that I make, I know I'll be able to fix. But you could go ahead and use a pencil to draw them in. You could also print something off on your computer and then use the pencil scratches on the back to transfer the letters over and then trace them. I'm going to add some embellishment to these letters. They're going to have a little bit of thicker areas in some, and then I'm also going to do some shadow lines. So now I'm going to glue my 2 snowflakes on top. I'm going to glue the black one down first, and then I'm going to take the white one and glue it down in the opposite direction. And you'll see what I mean in just a second. Gluing them together a little bit differently helps to show the black snowflake on the bottom and gives it a lot more dimension. Lastly, I'm just going to use some black and white twine, tie that off as a little hanger. The last thing I'd like to share with you is that I am co-hosting with MomDas Life Handmade for the Useful DIY Challenge for January 2021. I'm really excited to be joining Mom. She does some amazing crafts with just about nothing. Most of her crafts are almost free. So we're going to be inviting you to do a trash to treasure. You can do a thrift store flip. You can use actual trash and create something for your home. It has to be a home decor item and it has to be useful. So, something that you want to use in your home. The date of our challenge is January 14th, 2021, and the upload time is 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You must mention both hosts in your video and include our channel links and the playlist in your description box. The creator playlist link will be in our video description boxes and communities at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on January 14th. We hope you'll join us for some trash to treasure home decor fun. I hope you enjoyed my video today. If you did, I'd love for you to stick around a while. Hit that subscribe button. Those 2 black arrows will show you exactly where to click. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support. See you in the next one.